Is this the easiest antenna installation on a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck? Let's take a look. So this is probably one of the easiest antenna installations for a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. No drilling, no modification to the body. The antenna mount bolts right straight to the chassis on the bed here near the tailgate. It puts the antenna up towards the top of the bed, which is great for propagation. The cable just routes directly straight through the bed wall underneath the railing cap, comes out the far end, goes down underneath the cab, and then straight up through the grommet into the passenger compartment. Very simple, very straightforward. Now I complicated it a little bit with my amateur radio applications, but for CB, GMRS, it's really just that simple. This is the mount that I went with. It's a Rego mount. It mounts on the back of the bed and extends out past the tailgate just a little bit above the tail light. I went with a mount for the passenger side because I'm going to take advantage of the grommet on the passenger side of my Tacoma, which is just below the passenger seat on my 2022 Tacoma. That way I just have a straight line. I run right from the mount, right down the bed, down underneath the cab, and straight up into the passenger side of the compartment, and then to the radio. Mounts 3 points here, so it should be a very sturdy, very solid, and very secure attachment to the frame, to the body. Now, one thing that they mentioned in the video, the Rego video for mounting this to the vehicle, they pointed out that this is powder coated, which means that there is no electrical connection here on this. So you will probably want to grind off the powder coating in certain areas to ensure that you're getting a good contact with the frame, with the ground. The only problem for me is that this is a 1/2-inch hole, and the ATAS 120A uses an SO239 mount, which is bigger than this hole, so I'm going to have to ream this hole out to the size of the SO239 mount. But otherwise, I think this is a very sturdy construction. I think this is a good option, a good way to go for mounting to the bed. Just a reminder, if you're getting anything out of my videos, please subscribe and hit that like button. Perfect fit. Of the entire installation, this is probably the most tedious part, and that's routing the cable through the bed wall. There's holes in the top of the railing, and if you use a coat hanger with a little bent hook on the end, you can kind of coax it through, but it does take a lot of patience. So a fairly clean install. Cable's coming out from under this cap here, and then just around over the top of the mount, and then it'll mount right there. But as you see, that's a pretty clean install, and there just happens to be a little opening at the end that is very convenient. So the cable comes out here, and it will go down in between the bed and the cab, and then go underneath to connect inside. So I pass the cable right straight down as it comes out of the bed there. I passed it straight down in between the bed and the cab, and it's coming out below. And then I zip tied it to the brake line there before going into the cab. All right, we're going to take advantage of the rubber grommet that's under the front passenger seat. And it's right there. So I popped the grommet out of the passenger side floor. It just came out just by finger pressure. And then I drilled a hole in it big enough to accommodate this cable. So my approach to this cable is, I bought a cable that had an SMA connector on one end, because the SMA connector is about the same size as the cable, so I can push that through this small hole, and then I'll use an SMA to PL259 or UHF connector adapter, and I'll just screw that onto here, and that'll plug straight into my radio. And so this pushes right through, and it makes a pretty good seal on here. And there's the cable going into the grommet hole. Now I'll just push the grommet back into place. And so you can just barely see the grommet there, seated back in. And there's the cable coming into the grommet from underneath. And I made the hole just a little bit smaller than the cable, so that it would make a good seal. And there's the wire coming out from underneath. This is the antenna inside the cab, and so this has the small SMA connector on the end, and I do that so that it can fit through small spaces as I'm routing it through tight spaces in the truck. And this is a SMA to PL259 adapter. A PL259 is also known as a UHF connector, and it is the standard connector that's used for CB radios and for a lot of amateur radios, especially in the HF or shortwave spectrum. But that just screws right into the SMA connector, and there you go. Now you got a UHF PL259 connector, and so that just plugs right into the back of the radio here. So that's the final install. The radio's underneath the front passenger seat, and from the driver's side, so the VHF UHF radio, which is a FTM 400 XDR, automatically comes on when I power up the car. The FT91A, which is a shortwave radio, I intentionally turn that off manually, but it will automatically power down too if I don't do it myself. Well, that's how I installed the antenna on my Toyota Tacoma. It was very straightforward. It was easy, simple. Whether it's the easiest or not might depend on your circumstances, but it was very simple for me. So I didn't cover running the power from the battery through the firewall and into the passenger compartment because I covered that in fairly decent detail on a previous video. So I'll leave a link down below and possibly one of those links in the video here on the screen. But you can get more details on my setup for running power into the cab. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you got something out of it. And as always, follow, like, subscribe. Thanks very much. Take care. 73.